Welcome back to our theories on political decision making. We have been looking over meso-level theories recently, and we will continue that exploration. Why do politicians make promises they know they can't possibly keep? Why do companies spend millions on green branding while doing pollution behind the scenes? It's not always lying or incompetence, it's often a strategy for survival. I'm Professor Hellstrom, and in this video we're going to look at organized hypocrisy, a theoretical framework that helps explain why institutions often say one thing, do another, and survive just fine by doing it. Organized hypocrisy was developed by Nils Brunsson in the tradition of institutional theory, and it explains why organizations and governments so often separate what they say, what they decide, and what they actually do. Unlike rational choice theory, which assumes that decision makers are rational actors carefully balancing costs and benefits, organized hypocrisy suggests that organizations often adopt contradictory positions to navigate the messy, conflicting demands from various stakeholders. Take an example. A government publicly commits to fighting climate change, signing ambitious agreements and giving big speeches, but at the same time it quietly approves new pipelines or subsidies for fossil fuel companies. The government separates rhetoric, what it says, decisions, what it formally commits to, and actions, what actually happens. This separation allows it to appease different groups. Environmentalists hear the speeches, industries get the permits, and voters remain reassured that something is being done. A real-world example comes from the oil industry itself. Major oil companies nowadays make high-profile commitments to achieving net zero emissions and invest heavily in green advertising campaigns. Publicly, they present themselves as part of the solution to climate change. But if you look closer, you'll find that while a portion of their budget goes towards renewables, the majority still goes into oil and gas exploration and extraction. Why? They want to stay legitimate in the eyes of the public, but they also need to protect their traditional profit centers. Organized hypocrisy allows them to balance those competing pressures without fully committing to either path. This strategy can succeed because most people have limited insight. The broader public hears the messaging, but can't see the inner workings of the process. The fine print of actual legislation, the outcomes feedback, doesn't really reach the general public. For instance, a government might promise to lower unemployment, that's the rhetoric, and have a flashy training program for unemployed people, that's a decision. But the program itself turns out to be ineffectively or poorly run, that's the action. Most voters won't see the implementation. They just hear the promise, and maybe they see the photo op from the launch showcasing the very modern-looking new offices of the employment services. Brunsson doesn't argue that this is incompetence or bad faith. It's a survival strategy. Organizations operate in environments full of contradictory expectations. A corporation might celebrate its commitment to diversity while having serious issues with discrimination internally. A political party might preach transparency while cutting deals in back rooms. These contradictions aren't accidental. They're ways for organizations to maintain legitimacy with different audiences without getting trapped in impossible trade-offs. Organizational hypocrisy is particularly useful for understanding why so many institutions talk the talk but don't walk the walk. It shows us that these contradictions aren't failures in leadership or planning. They're built into the system, a necessary compromise to survive in a complex world. So it's useful then to understand how they navigate these gaps and this reality. It even sometimes portrays hypocrisy as inevitable, ignoring cases where institutions genuinely align their rhetoric, decisions, and actions. It also lacks a clear model for when hypocrisy becomes unsustainable. And that is an overview of organized hypocrisy. If you liked this video, give it a like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell. You can support the channel on Patreon or Ko-fi, or even book a one-on-one tutoring with me through SuperProf, link in the description. Thanks for watching.